If you want to know your real risk of a heart attack, I'm going to ask you to do something that sounds almost backwards. Stop staring at your cholesterol number. Because here's what plays out in emergency rooms every single day. Someone arrives clutching their chest, and just months earlier, a doctor looked at their blood work and told them everything was fine. Their cholesterol was normal. Their report looked clean. And yet, there they are. The number that actually saw this coming usually isn't the one printed at the top of a standard cholesterol panel. It's a different number entirely, one that most routine tests don't even bother to run. It's inexpensive, it's been validated in studies spanning 52 countries. And by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly what to ask your doctor for. The one mistake that quietly cancels the whole thing, and who needs to be careful before changing anything. So let's start with the question that should genuinely bother you. How does a person with normal cholesterol end up with a blocked artery? It isn't bad luck. It isn't random. It's that the standard test is answering the wrong question. To see why, you have to understand what a cholesterol test actually measures, and, more importantly, what it misses entirely. Picture your bloodstream as a highway. Cholesterol doesn't float around loose in your blood. It can't. It's fat, and your blood is mostly water. So cholesterol has to be packaged up and carried. It rides inside tiny delivery trucks made of protein and fat. Your doctor calls them lipoproteins. Your standard cholesterol test measures the total cargo on the road. It tells you how much cholesterol all of those trucks are hauling, added together. That's your LDL cholesterol number, the cargo. But here's the catch that changes everything. What actually crashes into the walls of your arteries and begins a blockage isn't the cargo. It's the trucks themselves, the number of trucks on the road. And those two things, how much cargo and how many trucks, do not always match. Stay with me because this is the whole point. You can have a person whose trucks are each carrying a light load. Their LDL cholesterol reads normal because the total cargo is modest. But that same person can have an enormous number of trucks crowding the highway, bumper to bumper. More trucks means more collisions with the artery wall. More collisions means more plaque. And the standard test never shows you the traffic. It only weighs the cargo. So you can be reassured by a perfectly nice number, while a traffic jam of dangerous particles is quietly scarring your arteries. For decades, LDL cholesterol became a number we all watched, and for good reason. It was easy to measure, it was cheap, and on average, across big populations, it tracked risk reasonably well. But on average hides the people who fall through the cracks. And the people who fall through the cracks are often exactly the ones who feel safest. So how do you count the trucks instead of weighing the cargo? This is where it gets beautifully simple. Every single one of those artery-damaging particles carries exactly one tag on its surface, a protein called apolipoprotein B, or ApoB for short. One particle, one ApoB tag, always. So if you measure ApoB, you are no longer guessing at the number of trucks from the weight of their cargo. You are counting the actual particles. You are counting the traffic. And this isn't a fringe idea. This is some of the most consistent evidence in all of cardiology. Take the InterHeart study, a landmark investigation published in The Lancet that looked at heart attacks across 52 countries, every inhabited continent, every major ethnic group. When researchers ranked the blood markers by how powerfully they predicted a heart attack, the ApoB-based ratio came out on top, stronger than the standard cholesterol ratios. And it held up in men and women, young and old, in every population they studied. The particle count beat the cargo weight, consistently, and it keeps getting confirmed. There's a study called Cardia that followed young adults for 25 years. The people who had high ApoB but normal LDL cholesterol, the ones the standard tests would have waved right through, had a markedly higher risk of developing calcified plaque in their coronary arteries decades later. Meanwhile, the reverse group, high LDL but normal ApoB, didn't carry that same elevated risk. Read that again. When the cargo number and the particle number disagreed, it was the particle number, the ApoB, that told the truth. And a 2025 review that stacked up 9 separate studies comparing the two found ApoB the more accurate predictor in every single one. 9 out of 9. This is why the guidelines have been shifting under our feet. The European Society of Cardiology recommended measuring ApoB back in 2019. Canada followed in 2021. And as of the 2026 American guidelines, ApoB now has a formal place in how we assess risk for people on cholesterol-lowering therapy. The science moved. A lot of routine blood work just hasn't caught up yet. Now, how does one of these trucks actually cause damage? Because having a lot of them isn't quite enough on its own. Your artery wall has a thin, intelligent inner lining. Think of it as a drawbridge that's supposed to stay up and keep traffic out of the castle wall. When that lining is healthy, the particles mostly bounce off and move along. But when there are too many ApoB particles relentlessly battering against it, and especially when that wall is already inflamed and the drawbridge is sitting low, particles slip underneath. They get trapped in the wall, they oxidize, they turn rancid, and your immune system rushes in to clean up the mess. That growing pile of trapped particles in immune cells is the seed of a plaque. So two things have to go wrong together: too many trucks and a lowered drawbridge. Today, we're focused on the trucks. But hold that drawbridge in mind, because inflammation is its own conversation for another day. There's one more number worth knowing, and almost nobody ever gets it checked. It's called Lp(a), said out loud as Lp(a). It's a particular kind of ApoB particle, but with a sticky, troublemaking protein wrapped around it that makes it especially good at lodging in artery walls and encouraging clots. And here's the crucial part. Your Lp(a) level is almost entirely genetic. Somewhere between 70 and 90% of it is written into your DNA. You inherit it from your parents. No amount of clean eating, no perfect diet meaningfully moves it, which is exactly why it explains so many of those heartbreaking, but he was so healthy heart attacks. The marathon runner, the lifelong vegetarian, the person who did everything right. Roughly 1 in 5 people on Earth carries an elevated Lp(a). 1 in 5. And most of them have no idea because it is almost never tested. The beautiful thing is, you only need to check it once. It's stable across your whole life. One test, one time, and you know. So let me make this completely concrete. Here's exactly what to do. At your next appointment, ask for 2 specific things. First, an ApoB test. Say it plainly. I'd like to know my particle count, not just my LDL cholesterol. Second, a one-time Lp(a) test, so you finally know whether you're carrying that inherited risk. These are standard, widely available blood tests. You are completely within your rights to ask for them. Then, and this is where your own kitchen becomes powerful, you go to work on lowering the number of trucks. And the single most useful food lever you have for that is soluble fiber. I mean the soluble fiber in oats, in beans and lentils, in barley, and in psyllium husk. Here's why it works, and the mechanism is genuinely elegant. Your liver makes bile to help you digest fat, and bile is made out of cholesterol. Soluble fiber turns into a gel in your gut, grabs onto that bile, and drags it out of your body in the stool before it can be reabsorbed. So now your liver is suddenly short on bile and has to make more. And to do that, it pulls ApoB particles out of your bloodstream to get the cholesterol it needs. In plain terms, soluble fiber sends the trucks to the scrapyard. And we know roughly how much this matters. Getting about 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber a day, that's a realistic bowl of oats plus some beans, or a daily spoon of psyllium stirred into water, has been shown across many trials to lower LDL cholesterol by somewhere in the range of 5 to 10%. Psyllium husk specifically, at around 10 to 15 grams a day, tends to land near the top of that range. That's not a drug-sized effect, and I won't pretend it is. But it's real, it's free of side effects for most people, and it stacks with everything else you do. So stack 2 more things on top. Swap some of your saturated fat, the butter, the fatty cuts, the heavy cream, for the fats in extra virgin olive oil and a handful of nuts. This isn't a guess. There's a major Spanish trial called PREDIMED, published in the New England Journal of Medicine, where thousands of people at high cardiovascular risk were put on a Mediterranean diet rich in extra virgin olive oil and nuts, and the rate of serious cardiovascular events, the heart attacks and strokes, dropped meaningfully compared to a lower-fat diet. Real food, real outcomes in real people. And then move your body every single day, because working muscle acts like a sink that pulls fuel and fat particles out of circulation. Fiber, better fats, daily movement. That's the engine. None of it is glamorous. All of it works. And let me say the quiet part out loud, because by now you might be wondering. None of this means cholesterol is meaningless or that your doctor has been wrong all along. It means the cargo number was only ever half the picture. The trucks were always the other half. We just didn't routinely count them, and now we can. Now, the mistakes, because these are the quiet ones that cancel everything you just learned, and I'd hate for you to do the work and lose the reward on a technicality. Mistake number 1, and it's the entire reason for this video: trusting a normal LDL and stopping there. Normal cargo can hide dangerous traffic. If you never count the trucks, you never see it coming. And "my cholesterol is fine" becomes the most dangerous sentence in the room. Don't stop at the cargo. Count the particles. Mistake number 2, chasing your fiber from juice or gummies instead of real food. Juicing a fruit strips the fiber right out and leaves you with the sugar. Fiber gummies carry almost none of the soluble fiber you actually need. You lose nearly all of the bile-binding effect. It has to be the whole food, the actual oats, the actual beans, the actual psyllium stirred into a full glass of water. And when you do add fiber, add it gradually and drink plenty of water, or your gut will protest loudly. Mistake number 3, fixing your diet but completely ignoring the drawbridge. Remember, a high particle count plus chronic inflammation is the truly lethal combination. You can lower your trucks and still be in trouble if your artery lining is inflamed and sitting wide open. Steadying your blood sugar, real sleep, and not smoking, those cool the inflammation. They are not separate from this. They are the other half of it. And mistake number 4, never asking for LPA, not even once. Because it's genetic, my diet is spotless does not rule it out. A clean lifestyle does not lower it. The only way to know is to test it, one time for the rest of your life. The vast majority of people never do. And for some of them, that single, untested number turns out to be the whole story. I want to be honest with you before you go, because this matters. Everything I've said is here to make you a more informed person walking into your doctor's office, not to diagnose yourself, and absolutely not to change your own medication. If you already have heart disease, a strong family history, or you're taking a statin, these are decisions you make together with your physician, based on your full picture. Never because of a video. And a few people should be especially careful. If you have trouble swallowing or any history of bowel obstruction, talk to your doctor before loading up on psyllium, and always take it with plenty of water. This is evidence-based information. It is not personal medical advice. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to. A family history of heart disease is information. It is not a sentence. The number that actually matters is knowable, today, with a simple blood test you are allowed to request. The fix begins on your dinner plate tonight, with a bowl of oats and a serving of beans. And the genetic card you may have been dealt, your LPA, is something you can finally see, so you and your doctor can plan around it instead of being blindsided by it. So tonight, do one small thing. Pull up your last set of Bloodwork and actually look. Is the word ApoB anywhere on it? For most of you, it won't be. And now you know the single most useful question to bring to your next appointment. If this gave you even one question worth asking, do me a favor, subscribe, so the next one finds you. And send this to the one person in your life whose perfectly normal cholesterol has made them just a little too comfortable. It might be the nudge that changes how their story goes.